every time I want to record a video. What I've noticed as an indie author is that a lot of people don't actually know how to talk about their books in a very short way. Writing blurbs is hard, pitching your book is hard, just talking about it in general without spoiling it is difficult. Hi, my name's Lindsay Elizabeth, and I am an indie author with 2 books out currently, but I have been writing all my life. I really started marketing my books on TikTok, so I'm pretty used to the short form video formats, and I think I've learned a thing or two about quickly talking about your book in ways that grab interest. So I wanted to give you guys some tips on how you can talk about your book in really quick ways that are pretty effective, I think, in order to reach a new audience and explain what your book is about without giving away half of it, you know? If you thought writing a blurb was hard, try writing an elevator pitch. Elevator pitches are this 30-second quick rundown of your idea, your concept, whatever it is that you're pitching. The reason it's called an elevator pitch is because it comes from this idea of if you walked into an elevator and there was, a financial backer and you were starting a business plan, what is your 30-second pitch that you can give before those elevator doors open on the next floor? So you've written the book. You've struggled through writing the blurb, and now you have to give 15 to 30-second pitch about what your book is about without spoiling anything and make people really interested in reading it. This is literally 1 to maybe 3 sentences, and it's a tough one, but I've kind of come up with a formula for it. To give you an example, I will pitch my first book in the series that is sitting behind me. It's called Kingdom of Ash and Shadow. If you are interested in it at all, it will be linked in the description. But here's my pitch. Kingdom of Ash and Shadow follows Kel and Rosalie as they're forcibly married to stop a war between their 2 kingdoms. Kel is a morally great firebending king, and Rosalie is a sheltered princess who's had to keep her powers a secret her entire life. As secrets are revealed, Rosalie starts thinking she might have been raised on the wrong side of the war, and she has to decide what kind of queen she wants to be. So right in that pitch, I gave you the title, I gave you the characters, I gave you a little bit about them so that you kind of see that there are some conflicts already. Kel is this morally gray firebending king. Rosalie has powers, but she's had to keep them a secret. So they both kind of have these secrets and they're butting heads, and it gives you a little bit of an idea of what some of the conflicts could be. And they also got married to stop a war between their kingdoms, but Rosalie finds out she was kind of raised on the wrong side and she has to decide what kind of queen she wants to be. So right there, it gives you some stakes. It gives you questions that you're wondering, how did she find out she was raised on the wrong side of the war? What are they doing in this war? It's very much like this political drama, and if that's your thing, it's linked below. Another kind of method that you can use is somebody wanted but then finally, and that's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Is you talk about somebody who wanted something but a thing happened, then this thing happened, and finally the outcome or the lingering question, or however you want to add some intrigue and get people to want to read the book. So I could say that Rosalie wanted to continue living her normal life as a princess, just doing her duty to her kingdom, but the enemy king demanded her hand in marriage. Then secrets start getting revealed, and finally Rosalie has to decide which side of the war she's on. The somebody wanted but then finally method is also a really good starting point to write your blurb. So if you're struggling writing your full back of the book blurb, like this thing, start out with that as a framework and then add in more detail. But I will note that blurbs are usually written in present tense. I don't exactly know the reasons why. Another way that you can grab readers' attention is by figuring out your USP, your unique selling point. This is something that makes your book stand out in the market. Usually books will have a few of these. So you can test different unique selling points and try them out and see what people are gravitating towards. If you're in a good headspace to look at your reviews, you can also look at some good reviews or ones that just mention what people really enjoyed about the book, because usually that is a unique selling point. For instance, one of my unique selling points for Kingdom of Ash and Shadow is that it kind of gives Zutara vibes, which kind of brings me into another point of how to talk about your book, and that is using comp titles or comparative titles. You do have to be a little bit careful to handle readers' expectations with your comp titles. If you're saying that your book is like Avatar: The Last Airbender meets Game of Thrones, and it's nothing like that, people read it and they're disappointed, you may have just lost a reader or gotten a bad review because you pitched your book a little bit wrong. So sometimes what I like to do is, if I have a quick grab like that, I'll use that as a hook and I'll say Kingdom of Ash and Shadow really reminds me of if Zuko and Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender hooked up, but it's in like a Game of Thrones world. And I'll go on to say that it reminds me of Zuko and Katara because there is a firebending king and a waterbending princess, and she doesn't know how powerful she is, and he's actually a lot nicer than everybody thinks. And then it's set in a Game of Thrones world, as in there's a lot of political drama, there's vying for the throne, there's kind of a stalemate Cold War going on, and then there is battling, sword fighting, and dragons. So it's really about handling the expectations, because if you say it's like Game of Thrones, people could take that in so many different directions if you don't give them context. And that kind of brings me to my final point about how to talk about your book, and it has to do with finding the right audience. So when you find your unique selling point, when you find your comp titles, when you find these things that people who are your ideal reader love, then you have found your audience. For instance, I market Kingdom of Ash and Shadow as kind of that Zutara meets Game of Thrones, and that is my audience. It is people who like Avatar: The Last Airbender, and they've probably grown up. It's one of my favorite shows, like, of all time. I give it a rewatch pretty much every year, but now that I'm an adult, I like that story, but I needed it to be a little bit more mature. There's, explicit open door scenes, there's fighting, there's like loss and pain and stuff. So it's a much more mature story than Avatar: The Last Airbender, although Avatar: The Last Airbender does have some very adult messages. But when I market my book to the audience that I know enjoys these other things and I give them a little bit more context, that is very, very helpful in order to pull in new readers. But like I said, if you are using comp titles and you're not just explaining your story like I was in the first couple of points, then I would be very careful to keep those expectations managed. Those are a few different ways that you can start really talking about your book, and you can even practice, like make a few videos and have a little script ready, have it memorized off the top of your head. It makes short form video content marketing so much easier if you just have it memorized. You can use the same pitch. You can keep talking about the book. You can elaborate on certain parts of your pitches. And you can keep swapping out certain little things until you find your right audience. If you want to know everything that I do to market my books, I do have a video on that, and I will link it in a card or in the description. So feel free to check that out. And if you have any questions or want more marketing tips, let me know. I would love to make more videos about this stuff. Hopefully you found this video helpful and you can start feeling like you're confident in talking about your book, reaching your audience, and feel good marketing, because it's rough out there. Thanks for watching. If you found any of these tips helpful, let me know in the comments which one was your favorite, because I would love to know. Drop your elevator pitch down in the comments. I would love to see what you guys come up with. I never know how to outro. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.